everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is the first video you are watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. So what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is my epilepsy journey. I know I mentioned it briefly in my previous video that I suffer with epilepsy, and I did say I wanted to make a video that's just specific to epilepsy in general, and also to tell you my story and how I ended up suffering with epilepsy. So I will try my best not to go overboard and not to ramble on too much. I basically just want to do this video because I've learned since being diagnosed with epilepsy that so many people, not just in Ireland but around the world, suffer with epilepsy. They suffer various different types, various different extremes, I suppose. And for me, I found it was something that I struggled with for a long time. Just kind of getting to terms with it and dealing with it in my own way. For a long time, I didn't want to talk about it. I would make jokes about it and brush it off like there was nothing wrong with me. But inside, I was affected by it. I just didn't like to let people see. So for that reason, I didn't talk about it in kind of the serious manner that I should have, with like in a comfortable manner, I suppose. So basically, I want to do this video just to tell you my story, because I feel that by talking about it, it definitely helps. But also to reach out to other people who may suffer with it, or who may know someone that suffers with epilepsy, and just kind of reach out and see if any of you have any questions or anything like that. Yeah, so I just want to first of all bear in mind, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist in epilepsy, so I don't know all the answers, but I do just want it to almost be like an open space for people if they have any questions just regarding my experiences with it and how I deal with it, or if you just want to talk about it yourselves, then we can use this as a platform to talk about it. So basically, I will just go through my story and how I got diagnosed with epilepsy. So for me, I wasn't diagnosed with epilepsy until I was 18. So I went all my childhood life, I suppose, in the first 18 years of my life, not suffering with epilepsy, not even knowing much about it. And then it wasn't until I was in my first year in college, when I got my first seizure, that I realised that it was an illness or a condition that I have. So basically how it happened was, when I was in my first year in college, one night I was asleep in bed and I got a seizure. Because it was in my sleep, it's something that is known as a nocturnal seizure. And it was discovered when my dad was going out to work one morning. He could hear a banging and he didn't know where it was coming from. So basically he was wandering around the house wondering where this banging was coming from, and lo and behold, he noticed it was coming from my bedroom. So he went into my room only to see me having a seizure in my bed. Of course, I was oblivious to it because I was unconscious. For most cases of epilepsy, not all, you do usually black out. So you could be conscious 1 minute and then you could black out and have a seizure another. But for me, because it was in my sleep, I kind of just went into a deeper sleep. So I didn't realise that I was actually having a seizure, nor did I realise that I had a seizure when I woke up. So luckily at the time, my sister, who was studying nursing over in England, was actually home. I think she was on her summer holidays. So my dad was able to come in and get her, and then she knew what to do. So she was able to put me into the recovery position, and was able to just kind of take care of me and monitor the situation as best as she could until the paramedics came. Yeah, and then I woke up basically from what I thought was just a night's sleep, to my mom, my dad, my brother and sister all crammed into a little box room, and then to see two strange paramedics standing over me. So basically two men in uniform standing over me. And because I thought I was only after having a night's sleep, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Of course, I wasn't fully with it. I had only woken up, so I was still a bit groggy and still a little bit out of it. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I just thought I'd had a night's sleep, and I woke up, and I actually was accusing everyone of overreacting. I think I was a little bit in denial, and I didn't want to believe what they were saying. But basically, because I was 18, I refused to go into the ambulance, and because I was 18, they couldn't really make me go into the ambulance against my will. I was classed as an adult, so it was my decision. So the paramedics left, and it was only then afterwards, when I kind of came around, I realised the severity of the situation, and basically my family had explained everything to me, and they told me it would be a good idea for me to go to the hospital and to get checked out. So that is what I did. And basically the doctors, when I went to the hospital, told me that if you have one seizure, doesn't necessarily mean you have epilepsy. So everyone in their life can have at least one seizure, but they may never have another one. So you don't get diagnosed with epilepsy until you have 2 or more seizures. So for me, they did do tests. They did an EEG, which is a test where they monitor your brainwaves and see if there's any abnormalities. Then they also did an MRI and a CT scan. And all them results came back normal. Nothing was wrong, thankfully. So yeah, I left the hospital thinking and hoping it was just a once-off, but unfortunately it wasn't. And 2 months later, I had another one. So basically, the second one I had, I was staying in my friend's house. 3 of us were having a sleepover, and we had just finished our first year in college. And I think I was just kind of coming down from a high of being stressed and worried about my exams. And I think the first year college exams, I suppose, are always a bit daunting. And I was studying animal care, so it was something I was really interested in. So I really, really wanted to do well in my exams, as does everyone, I suppose. But I was staying in my friend's house that night, and we were just after watching a movie, and we were on the couch falling asleep, and I was woken up to more paramedics and to my friends, who were unfortunate to witness me having a seizure on the couch. Luckily, however, my friend's mom at the time was a nurse, so she knew what to do, and I was in good hands. And then that time when the paramedics came, I decided to actually go in the ambulance with them, because second time around I was a bit more aware, so I went in the ambulance with them, and I was brought to the hospital, and because I had a second seizure, and that was 2 or more, I was diagnosed with nocturnal epilepsy. So that is when you have seizures in your sleep. I was put on 500 milligrams of Keppra, which is an anti-epileptic drug, twice a day, every day. But one bad thing about me is that I hate taking medication. I always have, from a very young age. I don't know why. I just hate the idea of putting unknown chemicals and substances into my body, because of course there's adverse effects and various side effects, and it's just something I've never really liked. Even when I had like a headache or something, I'd have to be in severe agony or pain before I would take any painkillers. So for me, trying to get me to take medication twice a day, every day, did not go down well. I think I was in a severe case of denial as well, suffering with epilepsy. I had gone 18 years of my life not having any seizures, not having epilepsy, not knowing really anything about it, to all of a sudden being told that I have this illness, that I need to take medication twice a day for the rest of my life, or until the seizures stop. And so for me, I was in a severe case of denial. Like, why me? How did I go 18 years? How are all my friends fine, and I'm the one that's suffering with this? So yeah, I was very stubborn, and I know that's not a good thing and it's not a good way to be, but it was just something that I couldn't get. There's like a barrier in my brain, and I just couldn't get it through to my head that I needed to take this medication. So basically I did used to take it at night time because my seizures were always occurring in my sleep. I would take them every night before I went to bed, and I just felt then, oh well, if I'm taking them before I go to bed, I won't have to take them during the day because I don't get them in the seizures during the day. So that was kind of my way of coping with it. And I did used to lie. I did used to tell like my family and friends that I was taking my medication every day, twice a day, when I wasn't, which I know now is not the right thing to do, but I was naive and innocent and young, I suppose. But I think I've matured a little bit now, and I take them all the time now. But yeah, so even though I wasn't taking my tablets when I was supposed to all the time, I still did manage to go 2 years seizure free. So in the 2 years that I was seizure free, I was able to go off and get my full license, pass my driving test, get a car, do everything. And I kind of thought that that was the end of it, that I didn't really have epilepsy, and that I was fine. And then it wasn't until 2 years later, when I was on a trip in Thailand with my friends that I had another seizure. And we were away for 4 weeks, and we were doing a lot of activities. We were moving from island to island. We were going out, staying out late at night, probably having a few more drinks, few too many, and of course getting up early every day, going out doing different things. And it wasn't until like my third or fourth last night that I had my seizure. And so I think all the moving around, the lack of sleep, the drinking and things, I think that just took a toll on me, and I had my seizure. Unfortunately, I was in the room with my friends and I gave them a fright. They were aware that I had epilepsy, but it obviously isn't a nice thing for them to see. But I was very fortunate that we were away with a lot of people from my area in Dublin who were nurses, and they were trained nurses. They knew what to do. I don't know why every time I seem to have my seizures, I always seem to have a nurse around me. So I'm very fortunate in that way. My friend, her dad also suffers with epilepsy, so she knew what to do. So luckily I was in good hands while I was away. But unfortunately, my seizures didn't stop there. When I arrived back in Ireland after that trip, the October, so about 3 months later, I had another seizure. And this one wasn't nocturnal. So this one was when I was just lying on the couch watching a movie with my boyfriend. I got this kind of aura in my ear and my jaw locked, and I started having a seizure. And ever since then, I've been getting both nocturnal seizures and just regular seizures, tonic-clonic seizures, where your body shakes, and you black out basically. So since then, I've had a seizure every 3 months, and it was usually happening every 3 months, but unfortunately over the last few months I was getting them every 2 to 3 weeks, so they were getting more severe and more frequent. And it was only recently, when I was getting them more frequently, that I was actually getting more than one a day. So when I was getting them at first, it was one every 3 months, but I would only get one at a time. But unfortunately, over the last few months when I've been getting them, I could get 2 or 3 in one day. So usually I knew if I had one, say, in my sleep, I was bound to get one later that day. Or if I had one during the day, I would get one later on that evening, if that makes sense. So I have been very strict on myself recently, and I think I said it in my previous video, that I have gone 6 weeks seizure free as of 2 or 3 days ago. So I'm hopefully going for 7 weeks, and that is a huge achievement for me, because I was going from 2 to 3 weeks now to 6-7 weeks, and so just seeing that difference, I suppose, is huge. And a big thing I feel that has helped me is my diet and exercise regime. Sorry. So basically, I have recently started doing the ketogenic diet. And now I haven't been doing it 100%. I've been doing it 80 to 90%, but I am hoping to get up to 100%. I think it's just kind of, it's not the easiest diet. So I think in order to get to being there 100%, I just need to kind of be able to adjust and adapt to the diet and find new ways of incorporating different meals. So if you want to know more about the ketogenic diet, please comment below and I will do another video on that. I just don't want to go into too much detail on that in case it's something that people aren't maybe interested in, or in case people don't agree with it. I know the ketogenic diet is basically eating a lot of fat, high levels of protein and minimal levels of carbohydrates. So you have to really balance it out, because if you eat too much fats and too much carbs, you're only doing more harm than good. So you really have to be strict on yourself. So if you do want to see ketogenic meals or like recipes that I'm doing, please comment below and I will pop them up. But again, I don't want to do it unless it is something that people are interested in. But yeah, so I definitely find since doing the ketogenic diet, it's definitely improved not just my seizures and the reduction in them, but it has also helped my mood. I'm sleeping a lot better. One thing I'm also doing is I'm also exercising a lot more. So I'm going to the gym quite regularly, 3, maybe 4 times a week. I also play camogie. I've played camogie, which is an Irish sport, for the last 5 years. No, sorry, that's a lie. Since I was 5, so for a long time. And that definitely is a great way to get out, get active, get fit, and get out in the fresh air, but also meeting people as well. So that is definitely helping as well. So yeah, hopefully my seizures reduce even further and I go 8, maybe 9 weeks seizure free, but we'll take it 1 week at a time and just hope for the best. But yeah, so that's my story. I will definitely keep you updated if I do have any more seizures. Touch wood, I don't. But if I do, of course I will come on and I'll let you know and I'll keep you all updated. But yeah, no, I just wanted to come on and talk to you all about epilepsy as a whole, and just tell you my story. Sorry, I know it's kind of fast rambling. I just don't want to kind of bore you with too much details. But yeah, it is just something I wanted to talk about because it's crazy how many people suffer with it. And I don't think I realised just how many people suffer with it, how many people I know that suffer with it, until I started talking about it and until I started opening up about it. Basically, I kind of became a closed shell for a long time, particularly when my seizures were getting worse. I was kind of keeping to myself. I wasn't talking about it. At first, in general, when I got diagnosed with it, I used to laugh it off and I used to be in complete denial, and I don't think my friends and family appreciated it that much, that they thought I didn't take it too seriously. The thing is, I probably took it more seriously than I should have and bottled it up. Whereas talking about it and opening up about it is actually helping me adjust and helping me adapt to it a bit more. And that's why I wanted to kind of come on and talk to you all about my journey, my ketogenic diet, my epilepsy story. Because I feel like if I can open up and talk about it, anyone can. And if people feel like they have no one to talk to, or they feel like they're alone in this situation, even just hearing someone else's story and knowing they're not the only person to suffer with it, well, then that's amazing too. I know epilepsy is one of them illnesses that you can't see. It's not like a physical, visual illness, I suppose. Of course it is when you're having a seizure and people have to see you having a seizure, but it's not something that is visual daily, if that's even making any sense. But people can't see the effects it's having on you when you're not having a seizure, so they don't realize the mental effects that it can have on you and how it can really kind of enclose you in a shell and make you feel like you're totally different to everyone else. I know sometimes I'm even in work and I might be freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, I hope I don't have a seizure today, or I hope this doesn't happen to me or that doesn't happen to me. And people would look at me and never think that's what I'm thinking. or they'd look at me and be like, oh, she's so smiley all the time and she's nothing bothering her, when really there's something constantly in the back of my mind, like constantly worrying me. And yeah, so sorry, I will stop rambling, but that's basically why I wanted to come on and just vent and get it all out, because I know there is probably other people out there that are having the same thoughts and things that I was having and am having. And so if you have any comments or you want to get to know more about my story, well, here I am and here's my story. So if you do have any questions or queries, please do not hesitate to comment or message me. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert in the field of epilepsy or neuroscience or neurobiology, but if it's something I can help on a personal level, I would be happy to. So yeah, if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Thank you guys, have a great day.